Housing TV Africa, your first in housing development broadcasting.
Hello and welcome to Housing TV News at the top of the hour, coming to you from our studios in the nation's capital, Abuja. I'm Joyce Nwosu. Our top stories. Federal government sets to welcome deported Nigerians. President Tinubu says Nigeria agreed battery energy storage system to receive African Development Bank's $500 million facility. Oluremi Tinubu distributes 50 million naira grants to 1,000 women traders in Kwara. Lagos government demolishes illegal structures blocking drainage. On the foreign scene, climate change experts collaborate to finalize draft law for Africa. We begin with national matters. Nigeria in Diaspora Commission has said the federal government is prepared to receive deported Nigerians from the United States if the situation arises. The Director of Media and Corporate Affairs of Nigerian Diaspora Commission, Abdulrahman Balogun, gave this update while speaking on Tuesday during an interview. Balogun stated that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is at the forefront of handling such developments with an interagency committee already in place. Balogun also stated that the federal government has set up an interagency committee to manage the situation should there be mass deportations of Nigerians from the U.S. The committee includes representatives from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Nigerian Diaspora Commission, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, and the Office of the National Security Advisor. However, he clarified that Nigerian Diaspora Commission has not received any official reports indicating that Nigerians in the U.S. are currently being processed for deportation. In another development, the Nigerian government recently deported 828 illegal immigrants, as announced by the Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubimi Tunji-Ojo, during a recent media parley in Abuja. The operation carried out by the Nigeria Immigration Service was part of efforts to manage immigration within the country. While the minister did not specify whether any deportees were involved in criminal activities, he reiterated that all immigrants seeking to reside in Nigeria must possess proper residency permits in accordance with the nation's constitution. The Nigeria Immigration Service estimates that around 300,000 illegal immigrants currently reside in Nigeria, primarily originating from neighboring countries such as Chad, Niger, Benin Republic, and Cameroon. This marks a significant step in addressing illegal immigration, a long-standing issue in the country. Furthermore, Dr. Tunji-Ojo announced that the presidency permits of expatriates will no longer be automatically renewed, except under special circumstances. This policy change highlights the government's intent to tighten immigration controls and ensure that only qualified individuals remain in the country. President Bola Tinubu has announced that Nigeria's grid battery energy storage system will benefit from a planned $500 million facility from the African Development Bank. According to a statement released by Bayo Onanuga, Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, this initiative aims to improve the electricity supply for 2 million Nigerians. This announcement followed Tinubu's participation in the Mission 300 Africa Energy Summit in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, organized by the Tanzanian government in partnership with the African Union, the African Development Bank, and the World Bank. President Tinubu emphasized that the country secured over $6 billion in new energy investments in 2024 and plans to build on this momentum in 2025. Senator Oluremi Tinubu, the First Lady of Nigeria, has distributed a 50,000 naira grant each to 1,000 women petty traders in Kwara State as part of the Renewed Hope initiative. The grant is aimed at helping these women recapitalize their businesses and support their economic empowerment. The presentation was made during the inauguration of the National Information Technology Development Agency and the RHI Community ICT Center in Ilorin on Tuesday. In addition to the grant, Senator Tinubu commissioned several projects, including a newly constructed civil service clinic named after the wife of the Kwara State Governor, Olufolake Abdulrazak. Senator Tinubu further highlighted that the initiated education and agricultural programs will benefit women and young farmers with a 68.9 million naira federal grant earmarked to support agriculture in Kwara State. Following the tragic tanker fire explosion at Ugu-Onyema end of Enugu-Onitsha Expressway in Enugu State, the National Emergency Management Agency NEMA has provided medical supplies for the treatment of injured victims at various hospitals and delivered relief items to families of those who lost their lives as well as to the affected individuals. The Director General NEMA, Zubaida Umar, visited Enugu on Tuesday, where she presented the medical and relief items on behalf of the federal government. During the visit, she also sympathized with the state government and the families impacted by the disaster. Zubaida informed the state governor, Peter Mba, at the government house that the medical supplies and relief items were approved to complement the state's efforts in providing immediate assistance, including food and non-food items, to the affected families. She explained that the items were approved following a joint rapid assessment conducted by NEMA and the Enugu State Emergency Management Agency. The Director General commended the swift response by the first responders to the incident, especially operatives of Nigeria Police, Federal Road Safety Corps, Fire Service, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, medical personnel, NEMA, SEMA, as well as community members. We'll take a pause here. News stories from the build sector are up next. Please stay with us.
Get credible and authentic housing news at your fingertips by downloading the Housing TV mobile app. You can also join the African International Housing Show live from across the globe through the Housing TV mobile app. The mobile app features live streaming and trending housing news. You can locate the AIHS venue via the app, network with AIHS seasoned speakers, and live chat with exhibitors. You can also order house or building materials at AIHS via this app. Download the Housing TV mobile app now from the App Store and Google Play Store. And don't forget to click on the notification button. Available for both iOS and Android users. Housing TV is also on Star Times, channel 149 decoder.
Glad to have you join us back on Housing TV Africa. You're still watching Housing TV News at the top of the hour. Now to the build sector. The federal government of Nigeria has fully subscribed to the Series 1 issuance of the 150 billion naira Real Estate Investment Fund through the Ministry of Finance Incorporated. The fund will provide long-term, low-cost mortgage financing for home owners and offtake guarantees for developers to ensure the delivery of affordable housing. This initiative, championed by President Bola Tinubu and the Minister of Finance, Wale Edo, aims to improve home ownership and drive economic growth. The Ministry of Finance Incorporated has announced plans to open Series 2 of the fund, valued at 100 billion naira for private and commercial investors, pending approval from the Securities and Exchange Commission. This initiative is expected to transform Nigeria's housing sector by increasing access to affordable mortgages and incentivizing real estate developers. In another development, the federal government and the Lagos state government have signed a Memorandum of Understanding to commence the construction of the 68-kilometer Green Line Rail project. This new metro line will connect Marina, Victoria Island, Lekki Free Trade Zone, and Ajah, enhancing transportation infrastructure in the state. The Lagos State Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Benga Omotosho, made the announcement during a citizen and media stakeholders forum. The federal government has allocated 140 million naira as counterpart funding for the project. These funds will be managed by the Ministry of Finance Incorporated on behalf of the Ministry of Transport as part of the proposed 49,740 billion naira budget for the 2025 fiscal year. This funding falls within the Ministry of Transport's total allocation of 256 billion 730 million naira for infrastructure development. Lagos currently operates 2 metro lines, the Blue Line launched in 2023 and the Red Line, which began operations in October 2024. The new Green Line is part of the state's broader vision to expand its rail network, which also includes plans for a proposed 60-kilometer Purple Line. Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Architect Ahmed Dangiwa, has urged foreign investors to seize the vast opportunities within Nigeria's housing sector, particularly through the federal government's Renewed Hope Cities and Estates program. This was according to a statement on Tuesday by the Special Assistant Media and Strategy to the Minister, Mark Chieshe, who quoted the minister to have stated this in an address at the Saudi Real Estate Forum. According to the statement, during a panel discussion, Dangiwa highlighted the significant growth prospects in Nigeria's real estate market, citing the country's ongoing housing deficit. However, Nigeria's real estate sector contributed around 5.2% to the nation's GDP in 2024 and will increase in market volume to 2.25 trillion naira by the end of 2025. The Lagos State government has begun demolition illegal structures obstructing key drainage systems in the state. The demolition led by the state officials targeted structures built over drainage channels and within restricted areas, including containers, wooden sheds, and cement walls. The affected drainage systems include the Bombata, Olushi, and Alagba 4 collectors, which have suffered severe blockages leading to persistent flooding in the area. During an inspection last week, government officials, including Wahab, emphasized that the demolition was necessary to restore proper water flow and prevent environmental hazards. The illegal structures had been identified as a major cause of flooding affecting residents and businesses in the area. Wahab assured that the state government remains committed to enforcing urban planning laws to maintain a safer and more habitable Lagos. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission recently handed over 4 recovered landed title documents to their rightful owners. The documents had been falsified by a criminal syndicate of land fraudsters operating in Abuja who forged the titles and deprived the legitimate owners of their properties. The EFCC, acting on actionable intelligence, successfully tracked down the fraudsters and returned the documents to the victims. During the handover, EFCC Executive Chairman Ola Olukoyede highlighted the role of collaboration with the Federal Capital Territory Administration (FCTA), particularly its Departments of Land Administration and Abuja Geographic Information System (AGIS) in recovering the documents. Olukoyede explained that the investigation had uncovered a syndicate involved in forging land documents by manipulating signatures, identification papers, and even passports of the original land owners. This group will then declare the original documents missing only to reapply and forge new titles. He emphasized the importance of due diligence when conducting land transactions, particularly in Abuja, and assured Nigerians that the EFCC would continue to pursue and prosecute land fraudsters. To wrap up Housing TV news at the top of the hour on the foreign scene, the United States government has listed 3,690 Nigerians among those facing deportation as part of an ongoing crackdown of illegal immigrants. A document released by the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement shows that over 1,445,000 non-citizens are on the agency's non-detained docket with final removal orders. Countries with the highest number of deportees include Mexico with 250,044 people and El Salvador with 203,822 individuals. The deportation exercise intensified last week when hundreds of migrants were arrested and some were flown out of the country on military aircraft. President Donald Trump, who signed several executive orders targeting illegal immigration on his inauguration day, has declared a national emergency at the U.S.-Mexico border and increased the deployment of troops to enforce deportations. The fear of deportation has now gripped many Nigerians living illegally in the U.S. as the government intensifies efforts to remove undocumented immigrants. Experts on climate change in Africa have gathered to brainstorm solutions aimed at tackling the devastating effects of climate change across the continent. The event, held at a validation retreat on the draft model climate change law, was organized by the African Group of Negotiators Expert Support in collaboration with the National Institute of Legislative and Democratic Studies in Abuja on Tuesday. Only 3 African nations, Nigeria, Kenya and Uganda, have successfully passed climate change legislation, a figure that experts deem insufficient for addressing the continent's environmental challenges. During the event, the Director General of National Institutes of Legislative and Democratic Studies proposed the dredging of major rivers and dams to mitigate the devastating impact of flooding and erosion. He also stressed the need for collective action among the 54 African nations, citing the critical shortage of funding as a barrier to progress.
The continent has yet to prioritize the coordinated climate action in desperate needs. A significant barrier to achieve this coordination is lack of comprehensive legal framework for climate action in many African countries. The concept of a model climate change legislation is therefore timely and crucial. Its purpose is to inspire countries without existing legislation to adopt robust climate laws by leveraging the experiences of countries that have already implemented such frameworks.
Speakers from across the region rallied in support of the initiative, urging political leaders to adopt and implement the draft model law once it is finalized at the retreat.
We're going to look at each of all these and see how can we avoid some of those obvious challenges that are there, and those countries that are currently in the process of developing their legislation. The process has been slow, but I think we are picking up, and the intention of this framework is to help catalyze so that many countries can overcome some of the challenges that we have. Yes, the challenge is big, so
for us to deal with climate change really lies with the G20, the leading world industrialists, cutting their global emissions. If they don't do it, we are going to continue to suffer in Africa and in the most vulnerable countries. We are not on track at all to meet the 1.5 degrees that we agreed upon. In fact, we are way off the target. But it's not impossible. I mean, it still remains technically possible for us to achieve the 1.5 degrees.
When you come to Africa, 54 countries, and you see that 3 countries clearly have their climate change laws or acts in place, and others are, trying to come on board. And when you juxtapose that against the challenges that we are facing as a continent in terms of the impact of climate change, impacts that are clearly devastating.
The 3-day retreat will provide experts with a chance to refine the draft law and ensure it is both adaptable and implementable by member countries. And that's the much we can take on Housing TV News at the top of the hour. Before we go, a quick recap of our top stories. Federal government sets to welcome deported Nigerians. President Tinubu says Nigeria agreed battery energy storage system to receive African Development Bank's $500 million facility. Oluremi Tinubu distributes 50 million naira grant to 1,000 women traders in Kwara. Lagos government demolishes illegal structures blocking drainage. And the foreign saying climate change experts collaborate to finalize draft law for Africa. For more news in the housing sector, subscribe to Housing TV on YouTube and follow Housing TV on all social media platforms. Download the Housing TV Africa mobile app on Google Play Store and Apple Store. I'm Joyce Owosu. Thanks for watching.